do all of that stuff, have all that fun, but make sure somebody knows. Like, I want to know that you went to whatever your version of Freaknik is, you know, and had a good time.
Right.
And I don't need the gory details, but hey, I had a ball.
I might take a detail or two. I'm just gonna say. I'm gonna look off into the dream cloud like, man, yeah, that reminds me.
The good old days.
I wanted to invite you into the show, to advisory mode.
Glad to be here.
To do the dad talk. We just came back from Greensboro, from your alma mater.
Aggie Pride. Yes, sir.
Dropping my youngest son off.
I like this.
And your son is also a freshman in college this year at Johnson & Wales in Charlotte. So the first part is, how are you feeling about this transition?
My firstborn. Man, it's a mixed bag. You know, there's equal parts pride and sadness, because like my man is gone. He's like, that's my oldest, the one who everyone says looks like me. It's like a part of me has left or is leaving, because he did a summer bridge program this summer, so he was gone for 5 weeks. He's back home now for 2 weeks, but then he'll be in school full time. Still in town, but not at the house every day, because he's staying on campus.
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, it's a mixed bag. I'm proud, but like, he's not here now. And we would go back and forth and converse and tease each other during the day and have conversations, and now he's not there.
Yeah.
So I'll get a text at midnight, 1 a.m. Hey, did you see this? Yeah, I saw that. Thanks for sharing. Or, you know, so we still communicate, but it's just different because he's not there.
Yeah.
For me to see him and lay eyes on him.
It's funny because he did the summer bridge program, which is in at first thought, it's like, we're going to give these kids the opportunity to feel how it feels when there's less traffic at the school, to earn some credit and to learn their way around campus without the bombardment of all the, you know, inputs of all the students being on campus. But now that I hear you say everything you just said, I wonder if it's not also a transition piece for the parents. You got 5 weeks of letting go, and then you get 2 weeks back, like, whew, before you get the big drop off.
Yeah, I think it is good for both of us. He took 2 colleges. He took English and math, so he was able to get, especially the math, one of the classes that's hard for a lot of people, out of the way, with little else to focus on. So it's not one of 5 classes. It is one of 2 classes, which makes it a lot easier to study for and be successful in. And he did, because he didn't have to take the finals for either of those classes, because his grades were so good during the time that he was there.
Nice.
So he was able to leave Friday as opposed to Saturday, because he didn't have to take the finals on Friday. So, but for us, it did allow us to adjust and kind of understand what it's going to be like with him gone.
So what did it feel like? Like, what did you learn in those 5 weeks about yourself?
Like, you spend all this time prepping them to leave, but you never prep yourself. You don't think about, okay, he's going to be gone. How am I going to feel, and how am I going to react when I walk past this room and there's nobody there, and there hasn't been anybody there for 2 weeks, and 3-4 days or 2 weeks, and just I think his brother really missed him, because there was a division of labor that was in the house, and now all of the labor fell to his younger brother. So I think he was like, oh, dang, we used to argue, but dang, I missed that joker now.
Right.
So, but no, it's that kind of stuff, and seeing him do stuff that I would normally see my older son doing. I'm like, oh yeah, he is, like, it's another reminder that he's gone.
It's such an oddball question. Have you seen the use of his room change in those 5 weeks? Like, is it like, I just pulled these clothes out of the dryer and I dragged the laundry basket into his room? Has it become utility yet?
Not yet. Not yet. Because we knew he was coming back home in a couple weeks. So,
right.
But over the semester, because his room is right across the hall from the laundry room, so that might happen. It might be the staging area and the ironing area and all that kind of stuff.
Right. You said the Chores moved to his brother, so you've got one more year because his brother is a senior in high school this year. So you've got this time where all the laborers moved to the one guy. Number one question, has his allowance doubled? Number two, in a year from now, we'll be having this conversation and they'll be out of the house. So knowing that transition is coming, what kind of emotion are you feeling from yourself and what are you feeling from your wife?
I might have to, I'm gonna have to take my wife on a trip when he leaves, just because he's the baby, he's her baby, and it's going to be a challenge for sure when he's gone. Right. So we're gonna, and we've always jokingly said when we dropped him off, we were gonna go to Hawaii for a month, and that might have to be actually a reality. So to kind of lighten the blow of him being gone, right? Both of them being gone. So yeah.
How about grandparent involvement? What are you sensing from them?
They're excited. We're actually going to see my dad today, but they're excited about the progression of the grandchildren. Her mom is kind of stressed because they have a cousin who was a year older than my oldest, so it was going to be 3 consecutive years kids were going to go off to college, but she didn't go. My niece didn't go to college because of the pandemic, so she didn't want to stay. She didn't want to go and pay Stanford prices to take classes in her room in New Jersey. She was like, I'm not doing that. So she took a gap year. Did a whole lot of stuff over the course of her gap year, but now 2 grandkids are going to college from my mother-in-law's perspective.
In completely separate states.
Yeah, 2,500 miles apart. She's like, this is all happening too quick. It's too much at the same time. And because she didn't have time to adjust like she thought she was. It's not one and then another and then a third. It's 2 at the same time, and then the next one's going to be gone next year. So she's like,
And then you got your own matriculation. Like you're graduating into their role. You know, the grandparents have been grandparents for a while. They've been off living their own lives or adult lives without kids in the house. And you're entering that, like your own freshman year is coming up. That first year back with an oversized house, more seats in the car than you need, all that stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the transition. I think I like to think we've done our job in preparing them to leave home and go out and be self-sufficient and contributing members of society. And that's what I always used to tell them. That's my job as your father, is to train you, to teach you how to be a self-sufficient contributing member of society. Right. And so I like to think that I've done that. And this is the beginning of the test.
Right. I know you've heard me talk about the dad talk that my dad had with me before going to college and how ridiculous it was.
I love that. I think every father should do that.
So what has your dad talk come from? I'm sure it has multiple facets and it's happened over time, but like what kind of topics have you been having with your son that is your talk, not our talk, not like mom and dad talk, but what have you been talking about with your son?
More he's a kind of independent, I'll figure it out kind of guy. And what I've tried to impress upon him is, like, no man is an island. Like, ask for help. You can learn from a lot of people. So if there's something that challenges you, don't wait until you're an extremist to seek help. Ask, hey, I'd like to learn more about this, or I'm having trouble with this thing. So it's more making sure that he does that as opposed to sitting in his room banging his head against the wall because he can't figure this thing out. Right. And to make sure he knows that I'm a resource, he has resources that he can reach out to. So it's more been that, because honestly, I think he can handle most other things that he's going to encounter. It's more overcoming himself. The fact that he's not one to come out and be forthright about asking for help.
Now, as well as I know your sons, and we even had meals, breakfast. Matter of fact, last couple of days we've been having breakfast together with the boys. That there's a topic that came up that very much rides right there. It is how much they dislike doing a thing that they would have done on their own, but having been reminded or told to do it. And so, like you saying, hey, I want you to reach out and ask for help when you need help, or ask for information when you need information, be proactive about doing those things. Does that stunt him from doing it? Or should we be working on other ways to communicate that message? How do we beat that barrier that they've put up about being told to do a thing that they need to do?
I don't think it's the same. And I say that because when I was their age, I was very much the same way. Like, I'm an avid reader. I love to read. But when you tell me to read this thing, I want to read that. Like, I was halfway done with it. But now that you've told me,
I can't read it anymore.
I no interest. Like, I entirely get that. But if you say, hey, I'm here if you need anything, I think that's different than saying, read this or call me. I think it's different because it allows you, of your own volition, to this thing right here is kicking my butt. I need to call somebody. I need to reach out. So they still have the decision making authority. It's still, okay, at this point I need to call somebody. It's not read this thing before next Friday. So I think it's different in that way because there aren't any parameters on it.
Another thing that came up in breakfast talk with them that I thought was something I hadn't deliberately thought about was the idea that they believe that there's a rebel phase coming up. And I had never thought about it. It was never in the front of my brain. But when they said it, I had to address it. And so I told both the boys, look, you don't need to have a rebel phase when it comes to me because we want the same thing, right? If you want to go do some wild and crazy stuff and have fun, I want that too. I want to live through you. Like, go do it, right? I just want to be informed that this is what's happening because if you get into water that's too deep, I need to be able to throw you a life vest, and that means I need to know what's happening. You don't need to rebel against me because whatever your instincts say you want to do, I trust you, and I know what you're about to, the freedom you're about to encounter. I want you to do it. This is the time to do it.
Yeah, do all of that stuff.
Right.
Make those mistakes now.
Yeah, exactly.
Do all of that stuff, have all that fun, but make sure somebody knows. Like, I want to know that you went to whatever your version of Freaknik is, and had a good time.
Right.
And I don't need the gory details, but hey, I went, I had a ball.
I might take a detail or two. I'm just going to say. I'm going to look off into the dream cloud like, man, yeah, that reminds me.
The good old days.
Right. How have you talked about relationship stuff, like intersexual relationship, sexual relationship, romantic relationship? How have you talked about opening that can of worms or continuing the opening of that can of worms with this new freedom?
More just being respectful, making sure that you're not that guy. Like, hey, be respectful of the people that you're dealing with, and when you know that something that shouldn't be happening is happening, then don't participate in it.
Yeah.
And it's we watched School Daze not too long ago, and the scene where Big Brother Almighty makes his lady sleep with Half Pint so he can. That's like, all of them were wrong.
Yeah.
And so we had a conversation about that. Like, I know that guy. I went to school with guys like that. I went to school with guys like Half Pint. And I said they were both wrong. And you don't be either of those guys. And, you've seen how I treat your mother. You've seen how Uncle B treats Auntie Jamie. Like, be respectful of any ladies that you're dealing with, like you've seen us be respectful of our wives. And so that's the kind of conversations that we've had.
Yeah, that's a great conversation, and I think so. Having that is fantastic. I think in my conversations, I also add on as a footnote to that. And we're not thinking about getting married at this point, right? This is, you are out here, you know, exploring relationships. And let's keep it in perspective. We're here to get this degree. We're here to meet a bunch of people. We're here to start building relationships. Don't get to the point where we're having that discussion about this forever. Like that's a mistake. We don't need to be having that discussion anytime soon.
No.
And it could seem hypocritical for me because both of us met our wives in college, but
well, I met my wife the summer before my senior year. So
same thing during college, right?
Yeah, but it was during college,
right?
But not like freshman, sophomore year or anything where we were hooked up forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and we haven't had the marriage discussion. I've been told already that I wasn't having any grandkids, so. Like, you're not expecting that from me, are you? That ain't happening. I'm like, okay. Well, good. Right. I know I'm not going to be a young grandfather.
Right.
So, if that's how you feel about it.
Right.
So, I'm good.
Good. Cool. Man, I'm happy to be on this journey side by side, parallel with you, brother. We're gonna crush it. It's gonna be fantastic.
I'm looking forward to it.
I plan on burning the road up between here, Greensboro, and Charlotte with you.
So, likewise.
Let's have some fun.
We will. Yeah. We will indeed.